Hello, Tom, aka Gédéon, here, your host for Tabletop Tap Room. And today we have a new feature we're calling Rumor Tables. We're going to be just hitting some news reports on the gaming industry. And this is inspired by the classic modules back in the day, like Keep on the Borderlands, that had a nice rumor table. You roll the d20, look up your rumor, give that to the player characters. They would get these, of course, by talking to various NPCs. So that is the inspiration for our feature, and let's get to it. Now, the first story on our report is GaryCon 14 has just finished, and it has been reported by some attendees to be the best GaryCon they've ever seen. At GaryCon 14, Luzaki was awarded the Gary Gygax Lifetime Achievement Award, which was probably well-deserved because he is the owner of Game Science and introduced the first high-impact dice to the hobby. And we all remember those low-impact TSR dice that became round little balls as the edges chipped off. So well-deserved award going to Luzaki. We also want to note that GaryCon raised $30,000 for Wounded Warrior Project. Good on you, GaryCon, for that donation to charity. And we have, it's almost too late to report on this, but DaveCon is going to be happening this coming weekend, 8th through the 10th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the theme of DaveCon is the first campaign featuring alumni from Dave Arneson's Blackmore Group and Gary Gygax's Greyhawk campaign with TSR alumni. So DaveCon will be going with the theme of unification, bringing the two camps together, the Arneson and the Gygax camp. And in the opinion of Tabletop Tap Room, it is about time we stopped having tribalism within the gaming community. So any step in the direction of eliminating the tribalism of Arneson camp or Gygax camp, I think is a good thing. So good on you, DaveCon, and I hope that everyone in attendance has a good time. Now, of special note, we want to report on an Indiegogo campaign going to preserve the birthplace of D&D. And that is Gary Gygax's old house that was the location where D&D was play tested. The current owner offers tours and allows the place to be used for gaming. There's a need to raise $100,000 towards fixing some serious issues with the property so that they can continue to lend it out to gaming and tours. And so I wanted to promote this particular Indiegogo. Now, of special interest is the rewards or the awards being handed out with this Indiegogo. There is a $40 level, which comes with a beautiful metal and enamel pin. And I think this is absolutely fabulous because it's not just a spinner, it's also a piece of jewelry that you would wear. There are 3 different t-shirts and a level of reward where you can choose all 3. And of special note is the reward for a custom mini on display in the house with your name. I'm guessing that this mini will be going on display in the basement in the wargaming room of this house, where pictures show that there's still the display case, display shelves for miniatures that clearly date back to when Gygax owned the house. And so that's mad cool. And I don't have the money myself to drop the $1,000, but I will be going out later today to buy a lottery ticket. Just on the off chance we can throw the $1,000 towards them to help with the very needed repairs to the house and to the property. So make sure you drop by Indiegogo to check out the crowdfunding campaign to preserve the birthplace of D&D. And check out some of these these great rewards, I think you're going to want at least one of them, if not more. Finally, we'd like to report that the Frog God Games is having their 12th anniversary, and nearly everything in their store is 40% off. So now's the time to grab something that you've been looking at, that you've been holding off on. It's very few items that are excluded from that, and it's the recent release, like the Tome of Wondrous Items, which is good because I just bought it at full price, and I'd be a little bit hacked off that if it was suddenly 40% off. But it's still a good buy. So Frog God Games, 12th anniversary, 40% off. Use the code that they put right there on their website, and you will be happy that you did. Today's dumpster report is brought to you by a company known as New TSR or 3SR, and it is about a missing set of RPG rules, and we will attempt to track down where these missing rules are. To begin with, let's start with the evidence of their existence, which is a post by TSR Con that tells us who's ready to play Star Frontier's New Genesis at TSR Con. All whom register for SFNG, which is Star Frontier's New Genesis, get a free hard copy of the game. So there will be a free hard copy of the game. Next, we have a post by them on their Discord server. Read 10 lucky people. Get read 10 lucky people at TSR Con. All whom play get a free copy. Spread the word. Now, I want to just point out in this little communication chain on the Discord server, the question was asked, is this the actual book or a mock-up? And then somebody else chimed in and said, can we see the printed copy? And then Rancid Lord, who I believe is the moderator for them, for TSR, on their Discord server, said very plainly, the picture above is the actual book. That is the assertion. When we go to TSR Con event page, we get the listing for Dave Johnson's Star Frontiers. Now, what is important here is that Dave Johnson is the game designer for Star Frontiers. And that's exciting because that means when you sit in on this game, you're going to be learning the game from the actual game designer. How exciting is that? So, and that probably is why they have listed this game as $100 a seat to sit in. But it's not just $100 a seat to sit in with the game designer. You're also getting let's scroll down, right down here, all players will receive a copy of Star Frontier's New Genesis RPG. So 3 times they have promised that at TSR Con that there would be copies of the game. And from one post, we are told very plainly, a very official post, that it will be a hard copy of the rules. The only problem with these promises from TSR is that it has been shown that these books that they showed us were not actual books, but digital mock-ups. They were made with web tools by a vanity press that's trying to sell you on the idea that you're going to get, here's what your book would look like. Upload your picture here, and this is what your book would look like. So that led the fan community to be a little skeptical and caused some questioning of what was going on and why are these digital mock-ups being shown as if they are the real thing. Just before the convention, it was announced by Dave Johnson that he had COVID. And then radio silence from Dave, TSR, Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, and people were questioning, will the game happen? I mean, Will Dave be well enough to run the game? Will somebody else sit in as game master? Will some of our $100 per seat be refunded since we're not getting the game designer and it'll be a second string game master? These were questions that were being asked and being floated around the Star Frontiers New Genesis fan community. And it was total radio silence. We never heard. The convention came, and even as the convention is going, people are still saying, well, hey, what about Star Frontiers New Genesis? Well, we finally got a word from the horse's mouth himself, Dave Johnson, when he went he couldn't go to the rest. He couldn't go to the convention, it turns out, because he'd been sick. He had announced with COVID. So instead, the day after his game was due to be played, he went to a restaurant and did a series of 4 live streams. And this is one.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Johnson. You may not have known, but I've been sick for the last couple weeks.
Yes, we did know this. He had made an announcement of COVID, and so we definitely want to pray for his recovery. We were hoping to hear that he had a COVID test and tested negative before the convention, which would have allowed him to run the game that everybody was so eagerly looking forward to.
So I wasn't able to go to the convention like I was hoping to and planning on.
Which, when you can't go to a convention because you might spread COVID, you go to a restaurant and live stream because that's not going to spread COVID at all. I have that on very good authority from nobody that's the proper thing to do.
But there's been some people asking about the release of the game. We've mentioned it several times, and maybe not everybody's heard, but the people that actually go to the convention to play the game or sign up for the game, whatever, it's been said that they will get a copy of the beta release.
Now, it's been said several times that it will be the beta release. This is not correct. We have done a deep dive into Dave's social media, into Star Frontiers New Genesis official web Facebook group, social media, on Twitter, Justin Lanassa's Facebook page, and the various TSR Facebook social media outlets, and we have not found this announcement anywhere in social media about a beta release. So this is now becoming a little bit of a bait and switch with these mysterious rules that everybody's so eager to see. Suddenly is going to be a beta release in the 3rd week of March at the TSR convention. And this has raised great concern amongst the fan community.
Not the final release, and Justin Lanassa has announced a few times, hey, Jason, that pre-orders will start in April. So they have the beta release for the 3rd week of March, but come April, the month of April, they will suddenly have the first printing will be available. So which is it will be the hardcovers? Will it be the beta release that was promised, the hardcovers that were promised to the convention goers, or will the first printing be the hardcovers? Because this is a question that is not clear to anyone who is a fan of Star Frontiers New Genesis. For the first printing, and so there's been a lot of things going on over the weekend. Justin's very busy, but they have
to my knowledge, they have been printed and are on their way to Lake Geneva.
So the books have been printed. They were not printed in time for the convention, but they have been printed and were on their way to Lake Geneva, even as he was speaking, and the convention was still going. So, well, that is great news that the books have been printed. Now, the only question here is are these the beta release that are going to come out in the third week of March, or are they the first printing, which are coming out in April? Inquiring minds would like to know. So everyone's been wondering what is going on. What is it that we're getting for rules? What is it that we're going to be able to order? And we got this press release from Dave Johnson and TSR LLC. So the press release reads, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, for immediate release, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, April 4th, 2022, TSR LLC and Dave Johnson would like to announce an unfortunate delay in the release of Star Frontier's New Genesis due to unforeseen circumstances that is not in TSR LLC's control, a very bad family emergency, not just any kind of family emergency, a very bad one. The logistics and fulfillment of the new product will be delayed for a period of 7 to 10 working days. The product is ready, but I don't have any information on the status of the number has been printed. But as soon as the emergency has resolved in a satisfactory way, the resumption of production and fulfillment will resume. I apologize for the lack of transparency in the last few days. I was gathering information for this press release. Also, you can look forward to a video tutorial, official Facebook group, promising even a live play of the game as well, either on Facebook, FC Messenger, Facebook group chat, or Discord only. This group is a closed group. So there's a lot to unpack in this press release. Well, let's start with like to announce. I don't understand why they would like to announce. You would think that it would be with regret that they have to. It is with deep regret we have to announce that there was a family emergency, and due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue with production and logistics and wish fulfillment of the fantasy rules that may not even exist. So these rules are: the product is ready, okay, and it was shipped, and it's real. It's absolutely real, according to the game designer. But they don't have any information on how many books were printed. Well, let me help you with that. I can help you with that, Dave and Justin. Check the invoice. The printer will put on there how many they shipped and how much they would like to get paid. So just check the invoice. And if you've lost the invoice, call the company, the printer, and be like, hey, can you fax us? Can you email us another copy of that invoice so we can get you paid? Trust me, they're going to want to get paid. They will get you a new copy of the invoice if you've lost it. So it should not be a great mystery how many you've had printed unless you really didn't have any printed. So if it's ready and they're printed, we don't understand the 7 to 10 working days. Now, the promise was you can begin pre-ordering them in April, but suddenly, April 4th, this is made. So 7 to 10 days from April 4th would be 11 to 14 days, the 11th or somewhere between the 11th or 14th. However, the wording here is that fulfillment is probably would be delayed. Okay, the product is ready. I don't have any information. But as soon as the emergency has resolved
in a satisfactory way. So if it does not resolve in a satisfactory way, they will not begin resumption of production or fulfillment. Because the condition is it must resolve in a satisfactory way. So if it does not resolve in a satisfactory way, we cannot expect the resumption of production and fulfillment. So that 7 to 10 days, that 11th to the 14th of April, that's more of an elastic number. It may not happen at that time. So they apologize for the lack of transparency. Well, lack of transparency has been this company since day one. So thank you for that apology. We really appreciate you taking the knee and apologizing for your lack of transparency, because it has been quite annoying to the fans of Star Frontier's New Genesis. So there's a lot to unpack there. And let's look at the last final piece to this. The last final piece was an announcement on their Star Frontier's New Genesis official page, where you can see it circled right here, where Dave Johnson says something happened and we just have to see it through. I don't have the book either, but it is real. So Dave is assuring us, absolutely, the book is real. He's seen it, but I don't know why he didn't take a copy. He is the game designer. Why does he not have a copy if the game is real and it exists and it's been shipped? He's right there in Lake Geneva. Why does he not have a copy? Unless he's left Lake Geneva to return to Pyongyang, Korea, where he lives. I don't know. What I do know is there is a rumor from a very well-placed source that Justin Lanassa is looking for a writer to finish Star Frontier's New Genesis. So this latest rumor, cannot reveal my source just yet, but it is well-placed, and I have a lot of confidence in the source that Justin is looking for a writer to finish it. So that might imply, that might be the answer why Dave does not have a copy, is that he has bailed on a TSR for Pyongyang, Korea, where he had listed as his residence, on the internet. So this could be the explanation as to why Dave does not have a copy of the very game he designed. And despite his assertions that it is real, that it has shipped, every indication is that the rules do not exist, despite the promises that were made to us, the loyal, fanatical fans of Star Frontier's New Genesis. Despite the fact that we were promised if we ponied up that $100 for that game with the actual game designer at TSRCon, we were going to get a copy of the rules. So the conflicting messages lead me to the idea that the game does not even exist, and that we should maybe just hold off on that pre-orders, because it could be a long time. They have not made a commitment to deliver them, and the last commitment that they made to have the rules for the fans was not kept. In fact, the goalpost was changed, and they said, well, it's going to be a beta release. And now it's, the first printing will not be out until 7 to 10 days after April 4th. So we're talking 11 to 14 days, but quite possibly longer, because their only commitment is that only when this emergency, and we hope that, it's nothing serious. We definitely hope that it's nothing serious. We don't want anybody hurt. We don't want anybody to be harmed. That after this mysterious family emergency, that they will resume production and fulfillment only if the resolution of the emergency was in a satisfactory manner. So that's the only commitment we have. And my advice is, do not hold your breath, because I'm starting to think that the missing RPG rules are not missing at all. They simply weren't written. And that is an unfortunate state of affairs for the fanatical and loyal fans of Star Frontier's New Genesis. And so don't spend your money yet on the pre-orders. Wait till we see an actual real printed copy on social media somewhere that we can trust that is not a digital markup. So until next month's Rumor Tables, this is Tom from Tabletop Tap Room signing out and saying, keep on gaming, but you just won't be doing it with Star Frontier's New Genesis.